Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Lenovo ThinkPad T14 Gen4, the AMD model. I'm going to take you on a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer the correct way. Make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip your computer over to access your bottom case screws. Now you have 7 screws by the red arrows. After you remove those screws, we're going to take a small, flat, plastic pry tool, and we're going to go across the seam of the bottom case and pry it up from the rest of your computer. It's generally best to start near the back 2 hinges, and in this case, it was easiest to start right on top of that hinge with a small, narrow plastic pry tool. Make sure you don't put the pry tool too far in, keep it on the edge, go nice and slow but careful but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. After you remove the bottom case, this is what you're looking at for the rest of the computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your project, as well as any upgrade or replacement parts for this specific model, the T14, there will be a link above. Also below in the description, it'll have all of those tools and supplies and all of these replacement parts for this model computer. Before touching anything in a computer, I always remove or at least unplug the battery. Computers are safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through. So here's your battery right down here. This computer comes with 2 options for batteries. Some of you will have a 39.3 watt hour battery. The rest of you will have a 52.5 watt hour battery. If you do have the smaller one, you are able to upgrade to the larger one. The battery is a 15.44 volt, and the model number that you would search for when looking for a replacement is L21L4P71. I will have all that information below in the description to help you if you're searching for your own replacement, but I will have a couple different replacement options below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement parts. The battery is held down by these 6 screws and plugs into the motherboard right there. And the plug itself is not wired, it's actually part of the battery. So after removing all the screws, you just lift the battery up and that unplugs it from the motherboard. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of an operation, if you're here because your laptop is not turning on, your battery may be bad and you may need to replace it, but keep in mind that most laptop computers should still turn on and function with a bad battery as long as the charger is plugged in. So if your computer is not turning on, there may be something else wrong with it other than just a bad battery. If you would like help troubleshooting why your laptop's not turning on, I will have a video link above, also below in the description. That will take you through the troubleshooting process that I use in my shop to find out why a laptop's not turning on and how to fix it. You'll see your solid state drive right here. This is your only storage port. It's an M.2 PCIe NVMe. This takes Gen 4 solid state drives, the larger 2280 sized. I will have several replacement and upgrade options for you below in the description in that link I told you about with the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. Most of you will have a 500 gigabyte drive stock with your computer. So I will have a 500 gigabyte drive if you're looking to just replace it and not necessarily upgrade. But for those of you that want to upgrade, I'll have a terabyte and I'll have a 2 terabyte option in that list. It's held in by just this one screw down here. You take that screw out and then it'll pull out of this port here. There is also a thermal pad underneath it that helps to control the heat. Make sure you leave that down if you're replacing it. That's going to be healthy to leave that there for the computer. Unfortunately, if you notice, there is no removable RAM here. So all the RAM you have in your computer is on board. It's part of your motherboard, and there's no RAM that can be replaced or upgraded. Unfortunately, with this model, we are seeing that more and more with newer computers. So I guess the last thing to shout out about this kind of operation, replacing a drive, if you do install a new solid state drive into this computer, you're most likely going to have to install an operating system to it. I will have 2 links below in the description. One will show you how to install Windows 10 onto a Lenovo ThinkPad. The other will show you how to install Windows 11. Now that the battery is removed, we have gained access to our CMOS battery right here. It is wrapped in yellow electrical tape and it's stuck down by double-sided tape. So if you're here to replace this battery, you can pop that up fairly easily. Again, it's just double-sided tape, and then you would unplug it from the motherboard right here. Now I will have a replacement CMOS battery below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. Those of you who are here to reset BIOS, you don't need to pull that battery up. You can leave it down. You would just need to unplug it from the motherboard for 15-20 seconds. That should be sufficient to reset BIOS. Now keep in mind, in most cases, this will only reset your BIOS system settings and not your BIOS password. If you want more BIOS password reset information, check below in the description in the FAQs. And I guess the last thing to mention about this operation, a BIOS reset is a common troubleshooting step if your computer is not turning on. So for those of you who are here for that reason, there are many other reasons why a laptop may not turn on. If you want help with that troubleshooting process, I will have a link above, also below in the description. It'll be the full troubleshooting process that I use in my shop, trying to figure out why a laptop doesn't turn on and how to fix it. You have a single speaker bar in this computer right up here. It's very, very thin. This black bar right up top. Now this isn't actually screwed down. You see these teal rubber washers here over the posts for sound insulation. That's all that's holding it down. So you can wiggle that right off of those posts to get it out. Be very careful with the cord. Speaker wires are usually very fragile. If you're trying to unplug it, try to just pull it by the plug and try not to pull too hard on that cord. But it's these wires that plug into the motherboard right here. I will have a speaker bar replacement option if you would like help locating one below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. Also, make sure if you are installing a new speaker bar, you run the wires exactly as run in your computer. Take a picture of your computer, something to show you exactly how it's run so that when you close it back up, that wire is not getting pinched against anything. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of a repair, if you are having sound quality issues in your computer, if the sound audio is not consistent across different software, or if you're not hearing anything, it could be a bad speaker bar. You may have to replace it. But I would try making sure all my drivers are updated and my system is updated first to rule that out, possibly fix your issue before you come in for an invasive repair like this. I will have a video link above, also below in the description. It'll show you how to do that. Make sure all of your drivers in your system are up to date. Now, your Wi-Fi card that you have stock in this computer is located right up here. As you can see, the antenna wire, both plug into it here, but this is not a removable Wi-Fi card. This is soldered onto the motherboard. So you can't replace or upgrade that. But down here, there's a port right here. This is an upgrade slot for a possible 4G WAN card if you want to upgrade your computer's Wi-Fi ability. I will have this card's information below in the description if you're looking for your own replacement, but I will include one below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. You would insert it right here into this port, and then a screw would screw down here to hold that card in place. Pretty simple operation. I guess the last thing I can mention about this type of a repair is if you are having Wi-Fi issues, if you can't locate your Wi-Fi settings, or if you can't see any networks, your problem may not be a bad Wi-Fi card. I will have a video link above, also below in the description. It'll be a tutorial showing you how to troubleshoot if you can't see your Wi-Fi networks, or if you can't even access your Wi-Fi settings, because most likely it's not your Wi-Fi card. This is your fan right here. The heatsink goes between it and your vent over to your CPU. To get your fan out, there's just a couple screws that you need to undo, and the fan plugs into the motherboard right here. Now keep in mind, fan wires are very, very fragile and they can easily rip out of the fan or the plug. So definitely don't pull on the wires. Use your fingernails or a pry tool on either side of this grip and you can wiggle that plug right out of the motherboard port right there. To separate the fan from your heatsink, there's a piece of tape here you would need to remove. and that's how you can get your fan out. The heatsink itself screws down with these 4 screws over your CPU. I will have a fan heatsink assembly replacement below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer, if you would like help finding that. Now, I don't know why you're all here. Maybe some of you are replacing a broken fan. Maybe some of you, you're having an overheating issue, so you're trying to gain access to your CPU to reapply thermal paste. Just a word of caution, if you for any reason take up your heatsink and expose the thermal paste to air on any laptop, it does then need to be reapplied. Once thermal paste separates, some of it comes off on the heatsink, some of it stays on the CPU. Once it separates and gets exposed to air, it's not going to work properly. So if you would like help with that sort of operation, I will have a video link above. Also below in the description, it'll be a tutorial in how to fix an overheating laptop, and it will show you how to clean off all the old thermal paste. You want to clean that off before you apply new thermal paste, and then it'll show you how to put the right amount down. If you put too much thermal paste down, it ends up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So you definitely want to do that the correct way. That video will be there if you need help with that. And I guess the last thing to keep in mind if you are reapplying thermal paste, know that not all thermal pastes are created equal. The cheaper stuff will do the job, but the more expensive stuff will do a better job at it. So below in the description, in that link I told you about with all the tools and supplies for your computer projects, I will include a couple different thermal paste options. One will be on the cheaper end if money is a big factor, but the other, while being a little more expensive, it will do a far better job. Some of the other miscellaneous things that you may want to access, if you do access any ribbon cables like this for your touchpad or your keyboard, you see some ribbon cables here. Be careful with these ribbon cable connectors. They're very fragile. And if you break that black clip, you may never be able to find a replacement. They're really hard to find. You may need to replace the entire motherboard, which would mean that until you do, your ribbon cable will never securely fasten in again. So I'm going to describe how to handle these ribbon cable clips. Now, these black clips here, they open and shut kind of like a book cover. So the way to operate it is it opens from the bottom end here toward the ribbon cable, and the hinge is on top. So you would take a small, very, very flat pry tool, and you would go from this angle on the bottom, slide it underneath that black clip, and gently pop it up, again, like a book cover, to release the ribbon cable. But be careful when you're doing that. Again, you don't want to break that black clip. That's how you enter a T14 Gen4 AMD, and those are many of the various internal components you can access once you're inside. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out, and feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.